So this is where Jeff is after Invisalign, after putting whitening gel in his aligners continually while going through Invisalign, primarily on number 9, but like I said, also on some of the other teeth occasionally. So that is going to make trying to mask that dark tooth significantly easier and simpler. In the photo on the right here, this is where we've done his equilibration, and we've bonded those smaller chips on the other 3 incisors. So our sequence for masking this discolored tooth, again, we're going to do our shade selection first before we start our anesthesia. We're going to then anesthetize and do our rubber dam placement. We're going to do our depth cuts just like we do for our porcelain veneers and our final tooth preparation. We're going to etch and bond the entire tooth. And then we're going to place our incisal layer. So I'm going to use the term incisal tonight in a couple different contexts. One is incisal as in the place on the tooth, the incisal edge. And the other is there's an incisal shade of composite, like a translucent layer of composite that we're going to use over the entire tooth. But we're going to place the incisal edge microhybrid composite with the matrix that we've done from our wax up in the lab. And we're going to place our opaquer and the rest of the body microhybrid on top of our opaquer, and a microfill for really high surface luster. And then we're going to finish and polish and check our final occlusion. So for our shade selection, again, we're going to check before we anesthetize the patient. And when we're masking a discolored tooth like this, we're actually going to try on all the layers of the composite that we think we're going to use, including our opaquer. So we're going to put the opaquer, we're going to put the hybrid composite, the microhybrid that we want to use for our body shade, and the microfill composite that we want to use, whether that's a Vita shade or whether that's the translucent shade like we used, or an incisal shade on Jeff. And then we're going to cure them so that we can see that we're going to get the right chroma and that we're going to get the right value to blend with the adjacent teeth. And then once we've selected our shade, we're going to anesthetize the patient and place our rubber dam. And then we need to prep the tooth. So when we're matching adjacent teeth like this, obviously we've got to do some facial reduction on the tooth. With Jeff, because he came up so nicely with the home whitening gel, we were able to just reduce this tooth by 0.3 millimeters. So this is the depth cutter burrs that we show you in the aesthetic foundations class when we're prepping veneers. This is the 0.3 millimeter depth cutter from Brasseler. And we're going to reduce the incisal edge, also about 0.5 millimeter. So we can have that incisal edge that's going to be in function and in occlusion, built in a hybrid composite rather than just a thin layer of enamel with microfill on top of it. So you can see the depth cuts here, and we've drawn pencil marks in the grooves, and then we're going to just prep back until those pencil marks are gone. And this is our final preparation with our incisal reduction. And we're going to use our matrix again from the wax up to place this microhybrid composite just where it forms the incisal edge, so that we're going to replace what we've prepared. And again, we want this to be the microhybrid because it's going to be in occlusion or in function. And that's going to be the guide for how we're going to build the contours of our labial surface of the tooth. So next we're going to use our pink opaquer and block out this dark substructure of the tooth. So this is where we start pink opaquer, and you can use these little brushes from that Cosmedent has, and I'll show you a little hack for some different brushes in a minute. And And this is the full amount of opaquer that we're going to place over the tooth right before we've cured it. I would even put a little bit more, like right in this area here, where you see a little bit of orange there, and then maybe on the sides of the tooth here, put a little bit more of the pink opaquer in those areas. But remember, with our opaquers, if we use these complementary colors, it's going to be useful to neutralize these discolorations that we have in the tooth. But sometimes with these, when we add these colors, it can result in lowering the value of the tooth. But because this pink opaquer has opaquer in it as well, opaquers are going to raise the value of the tooth. So that's going to completely block out that discolored tooth that you see underneath. And this is a fabulous trick if you're doing a complete porcelain case and you've got a really dark tooth and all the other teeth are kind of in the same, you know, shade area or chroma, then you can take this, you can cut back your crown prep that's really dark and place this pink opaquer, a little bit of microhybrid composite on top of it, and prep that, and it's going to make it so much easier for the lab and therefore so much easier for you to block out these dark teeth in porcelain cases as well. So this is the pink opaquer that we use from Cosmodent. This is the kit. You can buy it individually or it comes in this big kit like this. And the kit comes with a brush cleaner. So when you clean these brushes, I wouldn't run them through the autoclave, but it comes with the brush cleaner. You can just dip the brush in the brush cleaner to clean the resin off, and then use a surface disinfectant like a Cavicide and let that sit for the prescribed amount of time, and then just, you know, clean the handle on the brush and use that for next time. And then we're going to put a thin layer of the translucent, or this is the incisal shade of the microfill composite, incisal shade as opposed to the incisal edge. And this is going to go over the top of everything. And one of the little tricks that we use that is helpful is when we place this composite resin to kind of shape it and press the air bubbles out with these little paint brushes. And you can get these brushes from a dental company, and they'll probably cost you about 5 times as much as they would find them anywhere else. Or you can go to Michael's and get these little acrylic paint brushes. And they just come in so handy. And all of these shots that I'm showing you, we actually videoed this case. So if you join us for the course, we're going to show you the whole videos, but I just thought for the sake of time tonight, I just pulled some screenshots of the different steps from the video. But you can use these brushes, dip them in a little unfilled resin and use them to shape the composite and kind of press it down into place, and it presses out the air bubbles, and it just gives you kind of a more natural anatomy. It's a little easier sometimes than using a flat composite instrument. You might get some funny angles on the labial surface. So this is a great hack to use to shape that labial surface of your microfill on your full bonding cases. And then we're going to use the same finishing and polishing sequence that we discussed for our class 4 composite, and then finish up with our polishing paste. And you can see that this was an incredible difference for Jeff. Incredible. We were all almost in tears when he left that day, when we talked about where we started with his case and then where he finished. You know, I love this case because even though when I saw his pictures on social media, I was excited about, oh gosh, this is a friend of ours and we love their family and we can help him change the color of this tooth. He is such a great Dawson case to teach because we got him in and it wasn't just a single dark tooth, was it? It was, you know, he was in edge to edge occlusion, and we really had to figure out, okay, if this is going to be a long lasting result and if he's not going to break, you know, keep breaking down and chipping these incisal edges, we've got to figure out, okay, how do we get him in ideal function? And like Pete always said, form follows function. So if we get the function right, then we can end up with these beautiful smiles like we have here for Jeff. So these are his post-op photos. I just still get chills when I'm looking at his case. And these are his after smile photos.